pieces of stuff, pieces of things I've already presented or things I'm going to be presenting next month. And so I'm started putting this all together here. Now, this is called water footprint of, in the high plains agriculture. I used to get it pretty fast. And because we're working on the water footprint type of calculations. And first of all, just reminding you, it's like I begin every talk with this map of the overall aquifer. Of course, a lot of it is right down here, the South Plains area, and the aquifer is declining in the saturated thickness, as you all know. And so we also have a multi-billion-dollar agricultural industry in this part of Texas and all across the High Plains here that depends heavily on the overall aquifer. And so there's a lot of concern about stretching the supply of that water because it lasts longer, and so we want to do a better job of understanding how much that water are we using. I'm also involved in a project called the Texas Alliance for Water Conservation, where we've been collecting data on water usage and irrigation on various farms in the area, and tracking that, and from there we can calculate what their water use efficiency is, and so on. In fact, in this polygon here from around Plainview down by soil data around here, we've been tracking the amount of water. This is the amount of the volume of water in overall in this polygon. It's been declining quite rapidly since 2007, and it's declining faster. It's declining quite fast here. In fact, this Floyd Hill County area is one of the faster rate of declines. Also up by Muleshoe, up that area, there's a very rapid decline as well. And so now we have various irrigation systems that we are tracking and looking at which ones are most efficient for different kinds of crops. We do economic analyses on those, and so those are some examples of irrigation methods. I want to talk, first of all, I'll talk about water footprint, but also most of you probably have heard the term water use efficiency more commonly. Water use efficiency. And in agriculture, that refers to the yield of a crop, or whatever, per unit of water input. And so this is analogous to a return on investment, the ROI, or bang for the buck. So the bang would be your yield, the buck is this water input. And of course, in agriculture, we want to optimize our input and maximize our profits. We are very concerned about water use efficiency, that is the yield divided by the water input. Now, water footprint is similar in that it is a measure of that efficiency thing, but arithmetically, it is the inverse. Okay, so it is 1 divided by water use efficiency. So this is water use per unit of yield. And this is becoming a very common term now in people who do studies on sustainability. And especially with the fossil fuels, you've all heard of carbon footprint. You take that flight from Lubbock to New York, so many tons of fossil fuel equivalents being expended, so much carbon is going in the atmosphere. Same type of thing, carbon footprint. You're applying that same logic then to the water. And especially you're concerned about this impact, in this case, that impact of using a non-renewable resource like the water to produce a pretty low value product. I mean, cotton is king out here, but when cotton is only like 75 cents a pound, that's a fairly low value thing. And just how valuable is that water that we can still be doing that? Now, this happens to be one of the best places in the world to grow cotton. So cotton is always going to be important. And you can grow dryland cotton. It's not bad in some years. But so this depends on the economy here, depends on stretching that water supply. So how much water is tied up in that bale of cotton or in that bale of hay? So, and here's the point here. One thing that just popped out at me when I was doing these calculations and looking at the literature is that the water use efficiency of rain is usually less than that of irrigation. Now, we like rain, don't we? And rain is considered green water. It is free, it's natural. It's free, we call it green water. See, that's the best. It's the best water for washing your hair, isn't that right? And the best water for your garden. Well, the efficiency of that isn't all that great, especially if you're comparing it to a high efficiency irrigation system. Water use efficiency, that is this yield per input, can be quite low because of a concept called effective rainfall. We talked about that last week during John and also on composting. We talked about effective rainfall. And that in general, somewhere like between 3/4 and as low as a fourth, between 3/4 and half the rain is considered ineffective. Does not make it to the root system. It's so light that it evaporates away. Evaporates off the camp of the crop, off the soil surface. Or it's so heavy that the rainfall rate exceeds the infiltration rate of the soil, and therefore you get this ponding, you get runoff, it goes in the ditch. Sometimes there's so much that it reaches below the leaf zone. That's lost water too. And so in fact, on these farms that we're monitoring, we calculate that about 50% of the rain is considered effective. Only 50%. And here we're in a low rainfall area. We can't afford to have just 50%. Now when we work more toward low irrigation systems and even dryland systems, we have to really put effort on improving that effective rainfall. And so for that reason, I'll show you some data on water footprint that includes rainfall. Because usually in the sustainability index work on water and other things, you're talking about non-renewable, declining aquifer type of water, and in fact, so we look at both because we want to make our rain more efficient too. Okay, here's an example of a farm that is being monitored by the TAWC. It has been for about 13 years now. Eddie Teeter lives up by Lockney, off of the Q4 data, and Plainview. He grows corn and sorghum and cotton, the three main crops. But here's some corn data on subsurface drip irrigation, okay, which is considered the most efficient type of irrigation. The water is delivered right in the root zone. There's no evaporation losses. Yields, I'm doing some metrics. Some of you all know bushels and acres and so on. But I gave this at an international meeting last September, so we're all with metric. 15 tons per hectare. Now, here I have some English units for the rest of you. 240 bushels per acre, which is pretty darn good. It's a pretty good deal. 15 tons per hectare. The water supply, the total water supply was 30 inches. And of that, rain was 13 inches, and irrigation was 17 inches. Now, this is the amount of rain that we consider to be effective, and the amount of rain that was from the growing season. And so a calculated water use efficiency is this yield divided by amount of water was 2 kilograms of yield, of grain yield, it's grain not total biomass, per cubic meter of water. And the water footprint is just reciprocal. This is 0.5 cubic meters per kilogram of grain. So 1 kilogram of grain yield is like a half a cubic meter. Picture a cubic meter. It's about this high, about this wide. It contains 1,000 liters. I love the metric system. A cubic meter is 1,000 liters. Isn't that great? Okay, so this is 500 liters, and this is considered this is really very high efficiency. Thanks to this drip system and everything else that Eddie does is efficient. He's about 70 years old this guy. Now, also we've been comparing different irrigation systems. There's a spray. This is the typical spray type irrigation system spray here. This is PMDI is precision mobile drip irrigation. This is a way that you can modify a center pivot system by putting these tubes on instead of spraying the water on. You already see the orange hoses coming off the roof, and they're about 50 feet long, 100 feet long, and they have emitters on it. So you get this traveling drip system. Surface drip system. It travels around in a circle. So this is considered to be an economical way of transitioning from a spray pivot system to something like drip, except that this is above ground. It goes around and around. And this is LIPA. This is the low energy pressure application, which is a very efficient type of But below we have large droplets, and it's about so not throwing water way up in the air. Big mist. Okay, so those are some of the ones that we compare. This is a comparison of cotton yield, comparing the spray type where the water is being thrown out some distance, with a lot of small droplets and a lot of mist, versus the LEPA, one with the bubbles, these really large droplets. And so we have yield data, this is the lint yield, and it's higher with LEPA, and total cost of production was about the same. Net returns were higher. Look at the money here. This is the money. It's higher because it is higher yield, and water applied was exactly the same because this little trial was done on purpose that way. Same amount of water applied, and now water use efficiency, and then I calculate water footprint from that. So the water footprint was lower with this irrigation system than with the spray. The LEPA is considered more advanced system. So this is just 4 cubic meters. 4 cubic meters, which is still a lot of water, 4,000 liters to produce a kilogram of cotton lint. But that's not a whole lot of cotton. These footprint data, you look at, because you've seen data like how many liters of water it takes to produce a cup of coffee or a t-shirt. They're just astronomical. You think, oh my gosh, you could better than that. It's really amazing. So anyway, but this is one way which you're getting a feel, because there's not a lot of data out there as to what these water footprints really are. Now, I work, my crop is not cotton, it's not corn, it's forages. I don't know what foraging means. That's when you have the buffet dinner. That's foraging. And so we work with cattle. The cattle are the ones who do the work. They go around and harvest the forage for us. That's a whole lot lower investment in fossil fuels, steel, and also labor. So wildlife forages working out here in Texas Tech, the native ecosystem around here is grass. This is a short vegetable. We work with perennials. Perennials provide year-round ground cover. No wind erosion. No wind erosion. Wildlife habitat. So we have a biotic diversity out there. Carbon sequestration, because these roots and the little dead leaves and so on are sequestering carbon, and the microbes are helping keep it there in stable form. And also, these cattle and hay crops, food corn hay crops, are also high value commodity. And require very modest maintenance. We can grow, we can raise cattle with very low. Our hypothesis of my research is that foraging and livestock production can provide a proper means of transition to a low water input farming system and moving environment. And so looking at how forages and cattle can integrate into a farming system, part of a whole farm. Now, those of you who know cattle, you know this already, but some of you, I have to go through this with my students in my class about the beef production chain, right? The production chain. That is the cow-calf operation. This is all these millions, forget how many millions of beef cows are out on the rangeland. Mostly rangeland or low quality land that's not good for crop production, for maintaining cows. And they produce, their job is to produce a calf every year. And that beef cows have a very low reproductive efficiency. That's where the big base of it. It's a huge reason why beef production is efficient. That is one reason. They're efficient in that they can convert fibrous cellulosic feeds to meat and milk and wool, whereas we can't. We have to eat starch and protein and so on. So they can produce high-value food products on low-value feed. So they graze rangeland and also a lot of these cows in this area right here that graze corn stalks and sorghum stalks. That's an important source of feed for them. That's very cheap. The stocker phase. The stocker phase is between the time that the calf is weaned, and they're around 500 pounds to wean, and they'll be about 7 or 8 months old then. And it goes into the feedlot. brought is of course the fattening and finishing phase. The stalker phase, between 500 pounds, around 700 to 800 pounds, 200 to 300 pound weight gain is on pasture. Because it has to be a high quality pasture. This is what we're working on. We are concentrating on the stalker phase. This is a point in the feed production chain that hardly any consumers in our country know about. They've heard about cows because of cowboys, and they've heard about steaks coming from the feedlot. The feedlot, of course, is a high grain diet. It still forages. There's some silage and some hay. Still forages, but it's a high grain diet. So this intermediate phase here, we want to get these cattle and get them as heavy as we can. We have to put as much growth on them as we can before they go to the feedlot, so that we can minimize the amount of total grain in the diet. We want to make maximum use of this very low cost cellulosic feed. So we want to have good quality. So I'm working on the stalker phase of it. And there's been quite a bit of work done on carbon footprint, the life cycle analysis on the fattening phase, and so on, all that, and some overall ones, but the data are really lacking on the stalker phase. What is the cost of that one? And so this is a missing link, or a link which is glossed over by the life cycle analysis people. And the papers that we have seen have some erroneous assumptions that don't apply to West Texas. So, is it possible to integrate high-quality legumes without increasing the water footprint? Now, legumes, what are legumes? Well, let's back up to that. Legumes, we have forages that are mainly grasses, like the grass and weeds, grass, corn, sort of grass. And then we have the legumes, alfalfa and cloves. The big difference between the two. Big difference. So you want to get more legumes because they're high protein and they're more digestible, so we can put some very cheap, good gain on these plants. All right, now I just want to run through some old numbers here on water footprint, or how much water is consumed to produce some typical crops, which are forage crops. Now, these typically our water footprint in the slides I'm going to be showing later are in the cubic meters of water used per kilogram of biomass. Or sometimes it's kilograms of water transpired, or evapotranspired per kilogram of biomass. And this old data here is actually that. It's kilograms of water transpired per kilogram of biomass. And corn has a low number, and so does Bermuda grass. Now, what do those two grasses have in common? C4 photosynthesis. I'm not going to sit here and define all that. C4 photosynthesis, because a lot of you know what that means. It's mostly for summer growing grasses. Most of them are C4. They have efficient photosynthesis. They get a lot of carbon in with fiber, transpire tons of water. So those numbers are low footprint. Now, wheat is intermediate here, and this is a C3 grass. This is a cool season grass. Okay, so it's not quite sufficient. Alfalfa, which is nicknamed the queen of the forages. Those of us who work on forages, we bow down. We love alfalfa. I think it's so wonderful. It is wonderful. But look at that number. It takes a lot of water. A lot of water is transpired to produce a ton of alfalfa. And now, so this is a big black mark. It's one reason why you don't see a whole lot of alfalfa in irrigated areas anymore. But I'm taking a very different approach to alfalfa, which I'm going to show pretty soon. And I'm going to be comparing two grazing systems that a PhD student just finishing up. She's graduating next week. And her name is Lisa Baxter right here. And comparing two systems. One is grass only. This grass is various grasses, but mostly a type of old world bluestem. Old world bluestem means it came from the old world. It's actually from Asia. It's a lot, but somewhat like our native bluestems. And that's just grass only receiving some nitrogen fertilizer, because grasses cannot grow without nitrogen. Pretty small rates, much less. We put about 200 plus pounds per acre on corn. This is 67. This is 60 pounds per acre. Grass alfalfa, no nitrogen, because being a legume, it fixes nitrogen, right? Nodules on the roots, it enriches the soil, transfers to the grass. So this is a no nitrogen input. This is a savings right here, economically, and also in terms of greenhouse gases. We're not generating nitrous oxide from soil. We're not generating all the CO2 that is produced during the irrigation process of converting methane to ammonia. There's a lot of things involved here that we're saving. Average irrigation in these two, it's millimeters per year, which is sort of like, this is 20 is about 8 inches. And alfalfa grass has a bit more, so it's about 9 inches. Okay. Those are low compared to what we put on cotton and corn. So typically on cotton it's around 12 to 15 inches, and corn is 18 to 22 inches. So this is considered a low water input situation. Much less than what people used to put on alfalfa. Okay, so we got, now here is our grazing system. Here's our steer. We put the steers into the grass over the stem. We have water in the soil. Here's our soil horizon. And the forage, of course, is the grass, and the environment is the atmosphere. So the atmosphere is sucking water from this water pool. And our nice animal here. And of course, we have full of water. We do so up to the forage and the roots. And we have forage being consumed by the animal. Forage being consumed by the animal represents water flow as well. And then, of course, there's water back and forth between the animal and soil. Okay, in the grazing only situation, we had the dry land. We had some native range in there too. So native mixes. Mostly blue grama. Overall blue stem. So those are the large, just important part. And also tap. Tap is a pretty new annual grass in this area. It's from Ethiopia originally. The people in the eastern part of Africa eat the grain as their main cereal crop. It's good tortillas. Yeah, it's a tremendous forage. Very easy to grow. And so now we're rotating around these grass pastures depending on the water supply, on the forage supply. On the grass legume system, we had some native, but hardly used much of that at all. We had a little bit of stuff growing with alfalfa and yellow sweet clover. See the yellow flowers there? The yellow sweet clover. That turned out to not be a major component. And some tap as well. And kind of move back and forth. But we also have another trick that I introduced here. And that is a alfalfa tall wheatgrass. Tall wheatgrass is a native, it's a regular grass. That's quite well. In fact, it's the only one of them. It's the only native cruising annual grass that does. It's too bad. The alfalfa content was high. It was like 80 to 90%. And I call this a protein bank. We get a small acreage of this extremely high quality forage. The idea here is that a farmer then can devote limited resources to a small acreage to produce a superior quality forage. Not to try to do that on a whole farm or a lot, but a small area. Protein bank is used a lot in the tropics. And I first saw this in Bolivia about 15 years ago, where they had some tropical legumes that are very difficult to establish and hard to maintain. Small acreage, because large acreage of native grasses. And they really have them there about once a week for a day. Now we brought the cattle in for 2 days. They hang up on a lot of protein, and then you go back to low protein or lower. And this grass here had about 20% legume. So there's legume in here too. And here are just some of the shots. Lisa, the grass student, love to take pictures. And this steer number 82 is her favorite one. That's the same guy. He was very loved her taking the picture. So close up on the alfalfa, very extremely high quality. Okay, here's the literature. I've really boiled down. This first one's like literature about water footprint for beef. There's not much out there. And no one really did experiment that's like ours. Life cycles in California, 3.7 cubic meters per kilogram. But as Lisa found showing the literature review, they left out a lot of stuff there. And this is irrigation only, no rainfall. And they made some assumptions that don't apply. Life cycle in the Southern Plains. This included Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas. 3.1. And this was life cycle, but it's really concentrated on the feedlot part. So it wasn't really a good life cycle. The global average, some authors did a global average over the world, 15 cubic meters per kilogram. Pasture-fed beef, okay, this is that more expensive beef to buy, and 22 cubic meters per kilogram. But this is really animals spending their whole life on grass. And that was actually a lot like Western feedlot of 4. So this is 3.7, 4, about the same feedlots. But they don't really account fully for a lot of corn fed. Okay, so how do we calculate this? Water footprint, like I said, what we're using is the cubic meters per kilogram of line weight. So now, so we're talking about volume of water and a certain mass of yield. It's not per acre. The area comes out. It's just volume per mass. It's like saying this shirt represents 50 gallons of water. Same thing. And we use total rainfall is effective, and she allowed we only on this point we found a few calculations. Expected rainfall, and she used a calculation from the Natural Resources Conservation Service, about 75% or so for that particular soil. It depends on the soil. Corrected irrigation, this is where we partition the irrigation between that which is used for feed production and that which is for grazing time, grazing days. So the correction here for that. Divided by the light weight gain we actually measured. And then there's some extra forage produced. And we made hay out of that. That's why we had to correct this here. And so we captured that hay, we weighed it, and we also did calculations thanks to a wounded nutritionist helping us on what would be the animal weight gain if we fed them. We want to really capture all the potential beef production from that. So a lot of calculations went into it. We have another one here that's the total irrigation plus drinking water. Oh, these include drinking water too. So we know we get meters on all the waters. Because the solution this and divided by now my yield here is the live weight gain. Kilograms of gain during the freezing season. And I mentioned that this rainfall would be considered green water and irrigation and drinking water. It's all okay, now here's some very quickly year 1, 2, and 3 of live weight gain. This time it's expressed in kilograms per hectare. This is just to show you what the productivity was in terms of how much 1 hectare or 3.5 acres can produce. And the red bars show the grass legume mixture always had higher gain. This is something that we typically see because we know the forage quality is high. And so it ended up being quite a bit. Now, so the water footprint in this calculation, and we're going to go down here, if we look at the green plus blue water, all right, the rain and the irrigation plus drinking water, it was 33 cubic meters per kilogram on grass only and 22 on grass only. That's a 34% lower water footprint by including that alfalfa. Sounds good. That's pretty much. And then the irrigation plus drinking is blue water only, and that is 3.3 for the grass only and 2.4 for the grass only, that's 27%. So this shows that now that the amount of irrigation or groundwater we use actually is a small portion of the total amount of water input. It's small compared to rain, even though it didn't rain a whole lot. But it takes. So when you take all these hectares and you calculate how much rain actually fell, there's a lot of water. A lot of water in the ditch. So why? Why do we have a lower water footprint for this legume, knowing that alfalfa is notorious for being a water wasting crop? notorious for that. One thing, we didn't have pure alfalfa. We weren't watering it to produce 6 or 7 cuttings per year, and we weren't pushing it to its absolute maximum. This is a low situation. But actually, in that treatment, the grass legume used slightly more irrigation. 9 inches versus 8 inches. Still come out. Slightly more irrigation. But it increased the animal gain 60% over the grass alone. You saw those bars. They had much higher animal gain because the forage quality was much better. It had twice the protein content in grass. It was 14.4% protein. In the grass alone, which is 7%, which is hardly enough for the animal to actually maintain food function. And had more digestible energy. And so you see what we're doing here is we're capitalizing on this quality benefit and using that as a vehicle for carrying our water efficiency in terms of going from one trophic level, that is the grass, to the animal consumer. To go from one trophic level to another is usually a huge loss of efficiency, right? Well, to reduce that loss of efficiency, we had forage quality because in the cell walls of the alfalfa, there is becoming, that being digestible and a protein. We have carbon and nitrogen that can flow into making animal growth. Whereas in this old rural blue scale that got pretty old and steady, the lignified, not the lignite, a lot of that carbon just didn't get translated into animal gain. So we're trying to take advantage of that benefit. So alfalfa generally uses more water per kilogram of forage, although in our experiment we use only a little bit more of the difference in it. But we're leveraging 2 major attributes. One is the much higher nutrient value, which I already explained. Secondly, it fixes nitrogen via symbiosis with the rhizobium bacteria. And this is not about nitrogen, this whole thing. However, I've done a lot of other work about nitrogen in my past. So we're adding another attribute here. Nitrogen fixing, so it is independent for source of nitrogen, that can benefit the whole pasture. And so much more of its biomass gets converted to that next trophic level. So this infixation lowers the carbon footprint and the greenhouse gas footprint. So, in conclusion then, the legumes increase the beef stocker gain per hectare. And the legume system really did not require significant more water. And the legumes reduce the water footprint of the system with respect to the observed gain and total gain, and total here means adding the hay equivalent. Okay? Because the hay equivalent, the grass alone actually produces a lot more. Okay, now I'm going to just have a few more slides here. I talk about this sustainability, the footprint concept on a broader scale that relates more to the agriculture. There's a website, it's called fieldtomarket.org, and this is put out by this group called the Alliance for Sustainable Agriculture. Now, what is this group here? This is a consortium of food processors and retailers. So it has Campbell's Soup, it's Walmart. These are the big companies that buy the raw materials, make food, and other ones that market food. Because this alliance is trying to collect data on what those footprints are, because they want to advertise that they are, very earth conscious and so on. So they have been collecting a lot of data. In fact, they have our group, the TNC group, collects the data for them on the top. So here are 6 indicators of sustainability. Land use efficiency. This is yield yield. Water quality. Irrigation water use efficiency, and I put a green asterisk here because that's where we can do the data. Energy use efficiency. Greenhouse gas emissions. Soil erosion. Right? They're putting those all together. And this data then, in fact, you can go in here and use their calculator and come up with a spider graph. And this one actually has 7 points on it, but if you decided to show 6 things. there are things, and there's soil carbon, soil conservation. This is erosion, land use, water quality, energy use, mineral transmission, and irrigation, water use. And so you have a point on the axes here, and then you connect the points to your particular farm, and then it's filled with a color. And that color, this polygon, is a footprint. It's an environmental footprint of your farming operation. And so this graphically gets close to this concept of footprint. In fact, sometimes you go in here, you just construct it that looks like a foot. Yeah. And then they have other benchmarks. Green is national average. This orange is state average, and so on. You can see how you stack up against national and those give you these little scales. So, and then you can go in and use, let's say I'm going to switch to no tillage. How that affects my footprint. Really nice. Now we have applied this to all the farms in the Tatums, and these are the farms A through D, right? And 82 years is in here somewhere. I don't know which one. And so these are 6 indexes, and they are standardized around 100. You see it's a huge variation. And so on our so carbon irrigation is red. We have some ones here, and we want low enough soil. Good for your smoke. Because we high on is low. Someone doing really well, so we were teasing those out. What are they doing that's different from theirs? And you can even do this by year. We have 2010 was a wet year, 2011 was, well, we all know, a drought year, and so they had to irrigate a lot more, and the yields were poor. So that was like the first of the now, what sort of practices can be implemented on the farm to reduce the water footprint? Here I've listed several, and in fact, I had shown this slide in the past with a different title. Often we practice that to increase your water use efficiency, but now we're taking just the inverse of that, right? High infiltration rate. What do we do there? We want so structural drainage, irrigation pipe, you know what the drip system. Irrigate at less than potential level of reservoir. Monitoring and scheduling irrigation. Variable rate, new varieties, good genetics, and genetics are really going a long way. I put a lead square around my favorite high quality forages. So not just improving forages, but high quality forages. So we can leverage that niche, that ecological niche that ruminants have of converting cellulose that we cannot eat to high quality food products. Diversifying the farm operations. Here it says irrigating at less than potentially that concentration. And some of you have seen this slide before. I keep using this over again. This is a response curve to yield to water received as a percentage of compound demand. Compound demand is potentially down concentration instead of 100%. So this blue line is 100%. If you irrigate, you're replacing every ET drop with a drop of water. And now, this line, the green one, goes down to 75%. Here marks the point above which there's no increase in yield. There's a lot of noise in it because people are using different varieties, different irrigation systems. We are trying to impress upon our producers to not irrigate at 100%. And certainly don't irrigate at 125%. Okay, this is a huge waste of product. This is low-hanging fruit. You should be moving these points back and irrigating at this point. So this is another way of reducing your water footprint using existing tools, existing knowledge. Well, this is just in case you want to know what that is. So that's my little spiel about water footprint and what it means, and taking a little bit different view of it. That is not just a manufactured product like a T-shirt or a cup of coffee, but it's also things like how we use gas in our farming system and to make it more efficient. So, do you have any discussion points or questions on the